We have Dominique with us as well. Foxworth is with us as well. Wendy's here, Brian Windhorst, to talk more hoop. And we got to start with the big news that came from Dallas. Yes, Klay Thompson has agreed on a 3-year, $50 million contract with the Mavericks. Klay leaves the Warriors after 13 seasons, 4 championships. Now we'll look to help Luka Doncic and the Mavs get back to the NBA Finals. And Klay could be exactly what the Mavs need. He has 8 seasons of shooting over 40% from 3. That trails his former Splash brother Steph for the most such seasons in NBA history. Meanwhile, Luka has never had a teammate shoot over 40% in a season in his career. And the Mavericks,
a wild stat.
Looking to improve on their woeful shooting, of course, from the finals.
That won't exist after this. That's a good one.
We got to talk about this. Wendy, I guess I'll start with you, because how did you, in your opinion, Klay Thompson signing with, let's say, the Mavericks over the Lakers when LeBron called him personally? The Lakers were reportedly offering him a similar financial package as well.
I actually probably don't think it was that close for Klay. I mean, I know that the Lakers are a big draw because they're his hometown team, but they're not comparable to where the Mavericks are from winning, from competing for championships. The Mavericks are right there on the doorstep, and they were here in LA with Nico Harrison, their general manager, with Jason Kidd, their head coach, and they presented him the very clear plan of how they were going to use him. And as you mentioned, there's clearly a hole exactly where he would fit in as a spot-up three-point shooter, an above-the-break three-point shooter, especially where he could really thrive in what they've already got going. And here's the thing, the Lakers are still a bit of a mystery. JJ Redick, we're not exactly sure what his system is going to look like, how he's going to operate. Klay knew for months he was leaving the Warriors, and he got to spend the whole spring basically shopping. He watched Dallas win 3 playoff series and go to the finals. A total recruiting pitch for him, whether they knew it or not. So the fact that the state income tax was a factor in making this actually worth a little bit more money than the Lakers offer, I guess I'll throw that on the pile. But I think this was probably a pretty clean decision that it took Klay. He wanted to hear the Lakers out and get past the heartstrings there. But Dallas makes the most sense for him in a vacuum.
And when you look at this, think Klay made the right decision choosing Luka over LeBron and the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, Brian just summed it up. The Lakers are not a team that's a serious championship contender, and the Mavs are just in the finals, right? I know we'd love to have the Lakers be in the finals. I know our whole network would be thrilled about that. But they won 1 playoff game. Then they really were not competitive overall in that series. Whereas you look at what Dallas did. Dallas beat Oklahoma City. They beat Minnesota. They get a game off Boston in the finals. They've got Luka Doncic in his prime, entering his prime, going to be the favorite going into next season to win MVP. This is the much better situation for Klay Thompson to go into. And to me, this was a no-brainer. Forget the state tax stuff. Forget all of that. Klay Thompson goes to Dallas, a team where he could potentially win. Like Alan's been talking the last couple of days about the pettiness factor for Klay and wanted to prove what he can do.
Yeah.
He's walking into a team where they said to him, hey, you're going to be our starting shooting guard, our starting small forward. You're going to play next to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. I'm still trying to recover from this 40% three-point stat we just saw. Klay is going to, I wouldn't be shocked if he leads the league in three-point shooting percentages this year, because he's going to get so many wide open three-point catch-and-shoot shots compared to what he's used to. And he's going to have this guaranteed starting spot on a team that just went to the finals, where he could potentially show the Warriors he can be a contributor deep into the playoffs. If he went to play for the Lakers, yeah, his dad's doing radio commentary. It's the team he grew up watching. He'd be in Southern California. He'd also maybe be home for the playoffs. That's not what he's looking to do. He's looking to show he can be there late into the spring.
That's a really salient point, because I don't think many people realize for the Lakers, just 1 top 6 finish in the West the last 12 seasons. Himbo gave me that stat. By the way, what does Klay make the Mavericks, in your opinion, Alan?
Well, they already were a championship contender because they got to the finals, right? So that they already are that. What he does is he gets them even closer to that. He gives them what they're missing. We saw in the finals that they struggled from 3, shooting under 32% from downtown. And when you have a guy like Luka and also Kyrie, you got to have floor spacers. But he also brings experience. So you get that part of it as well. Somebody that has played in the biggest stages and has performed in the biggest stages as well. You have that. But I go back to also saying the decision that Klay Thompson made, it benefits both. They needed him for all the reasons why I just laid out. He needed them because revenge, success is the best revenge. And that's what he's also got to prove to the Golden State Warriors, that you sent me away. I'm the first one to leave, so that means I'm done. I got nothing less that I can give you. Well, watch me win a championship with them while you continue to dismantle this dynasty.
You forget the Mavericks only shot 32% in the finals. 32% from three in the finals. This is a guy who shot 39% on the season, 41% in the second half of the season.
On 9 attempts a game, too.
Yeah.
It's not like he's taking a couple.
Exactly.
He's getting them up, and he's making a lot of them.
You're not going to have
Kick out guys, perfect for
You're not going to have more open shots than playing with
Now,
the
defensively, do you have concerns because it's Luka defending on the perimeter? They'll find him. Kyrie on the perimeter.
You got Gafford.
And then Clay's not
you
what
got
he used
Gafford.
to
You
be.
got
Look, I mean,
Lively.
I do think if you want to take the other side of this for a second, because I do think we haven't talked about it enough. They're replacing Derrick Jones Jr., the guy who was guarding Jason Tatum and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and at times Anthony Edwards in the playoffs, and replace him with Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
I do think there are some concerns if you're putting Klay into the starting lineup, which I think we all expect them to do, at the defensive end of the court. You're putting a lot on Derek Lively, the young, now second-year center for the Mavs. I know they think he can be Rudy Gobert in the future or, an elite, defensive player of the year type guy. It's a lot of pressure on him. So I do think there are some potential concerns. But again, I'm honestly stunned by this 40% stat. I had no idea that was the case. And Klay is going to, I think, completely light it up from a shooting perspective.
And I've never shared this before out of respect to Klay. Getting off the elevator Christmas Day. This is on Christmas Day.
Of this past year?
Of this past year. I get off the elevator and I see Klay. I'm like, oh, Klay, what's up? He's like, oh, what's up? I'm like, hey, man, keep your mentals right. He's like, man, tell him to pay me my money. This was on Christmas Day. So on Christmas Day, a guy that had won 4 championships, and I don't give a damn what anybody says, how much money they gave him over the years because he turned their franchise around. That franchise is worth billions of dollars, not just because of Steph, it's also because of Klay. They changed the game. It wasn't just Steph changing the game. It was Steph and Klay in that backcourt.
Absolutely.
So I say that he has a right to be mad.
Right to be mad. So I guess it begs the question, Alan, did the Warriors mismanage this whole Klay Thompson thing?
They did, yeah. And they did for this reason. Business-wise, you understand that all good things come to an end, and we knew that eventually it was going to have to come to an end. But when you give Draymond Green $100 million, and then you tell Klay Thompson, we're going to give you half that, what are you telling Klay Thompson? Draymond Green's the guy that punched a teammate. Draymond Green's the guy that does things that gets himself in trouble and does have an adverse effect on his team. That happens a lot. We all know that Draymond Green brings a lot of good things to the team. But among those 3 guys that have been part of the core of this championship, this dynasty run that they have had, Draymond Green's been the guy that has gotten in the most trouble. They still paid him. Klay Thompson, what has he been? But other than a great teammate, the good soldier, the guy that has been next to Steph Curry, whatever it takes, I will fill in the blanks. He's made big shots. He's had big moments. He went through 2 years of going through injuries that he had to battle through, a lot of emotions just to get himself back on the court. And you tell him, you're not worth as much as the other guys, you're the one that's going to go first, yeah, he takes that personal. And so this whole thing, to me, the way this thing has fallen apart, you could argue that it started with the punch that Draymond Green threw to Jordan Poole and how they handled all that going forward, and then deciding that, Klay, you're the one that we're not going to show you the same financial love that we showed the other guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they offered Klay Thompson the same amount of money per year that they offered all those other guys at the end of the day. And Draymond Green, while I don't disagree with anything you said about his conduct, at the end of the day, he got to free agency and got the contract that the market determined he should get, right? They offered Klay Thompson an extension at the same number they signed Draymond Green in free agency. Klay was disrespected by it and said no, and then he signed for 50% less.
Yeah,
right?
That's petty.
No,
and that's the petty. I'll take the $50 million and I'll go to Dallas and win a championship, the same money you were going to give me. But the annual is not what it's about. It's the $100 million guaranteed. It's guaranteed 100 that everybody else was, Wiggins, you give it to him. But me, I'm the one that's got to be out. Right? I'm the guy that did everything right. I've never been a problem child here at all. I'm the first one that gets kicked out of here. That's why he's upset, and I don't blame him.
Andrew Wiggins had the greatest series of his life in the finals, won them a title,
How's that work
then got extended. Well, listen, again, he got extended off of playing the best he ever played in the finals. Klay Thompson got offered $24 million a year for 2 years as an extension.
Not 4.
Okay, and then he got significantly less than that in free agency. So I don't think yes, you could say the Warriors should give him 4 years, $100 million just because. But the Warriors offered him, to me, more than a fair amount of money. And at the end of the day, Klay didn't like it and decided to do something else. I think that's...
What you're talking about is business, and I completely understand the business side of it, right? It's unemotional. But when you have what they had, which is special, you know, Zach Lowe talked about how we should take a moment and just appreciate what we've had in the Warriors because that was special. That was a great team to watch. But so the emotion part of it is understandable, where you're Klay Thompson and you're like, I'm the one that's leaving first. I've done everything right, and I'm the one you're kicking out first.
That's why the question was, did they mismanage it? I would say the answer is no, they mismanaged it, and that sometimes things don't end the way everybody wants them to in a fairy tale setting. This is the NBA. It's a business, and I would say everybody conducted their business fine here, and that's just how things go sometimes.
Wendy, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, two things. One, they made 6 finals in a 9-year span and won 4 of them. That's a tremendous run that everybody should be proud of and be congratulated for. The reason that you don't see that very often is because the rules and reality of, you know, human nature make it very difficult for that to happen. So they did a great job respecting everybody, taking care of everybody, and those players did a great job of playing great basketball for a decade. On balance, everybody did great here. Everybody won. The rings are there forever. The banners hang forever. Secondly, one of the reasons why this became a mess was because Klay didn't have a great year last year. I realize versus the average shooting guard in the NBA, averaging 19 points and shooting 39% on high-volume threes is a good year. And there were numerous teams prepared to pay him over the mid-level, ready to do that. And he was properly valued in the market. But for the Warriors, they demoted him. They demoted him from playing at the end of the games. For a while, they demoted him out of the starting lineup. They have younger, cheaper players who are playing better. And I know that you're supposed to pay attention to the way they played, the way he played 3 years ago, but they have to pay attention to the way he played now. And so all of those circumstances, you know, in timing and all that stuff played into this.
And again, they offered him a lot of money, and he didn't want it, which I think is totally fine. And that's why I say, to me, if you ask me the question, I think everybody managed this fine. And I think ultimately this is the best outcome for both sides. Klay Thompson goes to your hometown team, way better situation for him. And the Warriors have, like Brian said, a lot of better options.